Hello ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else watching. My name's Erik, and welcome back to a brand new video here on the Bioshock Hub. First and foremost, I just wanted to thank my friend JR for providing this Bioshock 2 multiplayer gameplay that you'll be watching in the background. If you wouldn't mind checking out his channel, I'll leave the link to that in the description. Please go check him out. I would appreciate it, as I know he would as well. And in today's video, I actually wanted to talk about Bioshock 2's multiplayer, since I actually haven't made a video on this in quite a long time. And I want to talk about why the game actually died in and of itself. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still a multitude of players out there that are still playing. Some are still even making videos on it, JR being one of them, and there is still a community. Unfortunately, that community is kind of hindered here and there, but for the majority of this game, it unfortunately died. Keep in mind, the game is about 12 years old, so that's a big reason, but we're going to dive more into the beginning of the game, when it came out, why it died, the player base, etc. So with that being said, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the video. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the lack of hype about Bioshock 2's multiplayer in and of itself with the release of Bioshock 2 itself back in 2010. Keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, the game is 12 years old, came out in 2010, and at that time, Bioshock 2 did have hype. The multiplayer, not so much. It was more of just an added bonus and more additional content to the game. Everybody was excited to see the next installment in the Bioshock series, not so much for the multiplayer. Along with that, keep in mind, 2010 was an incredible year for games, and there were a lot of other games that had a ton of hype surrounding them. Some of those include Mass Effect 2, Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty Black Ops, Halo Reach, God of War 3, Limbo, StarCraft 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Fallout New Vegas, and Amnesia: The Dark Descent, just to name a few. So it had quite a bit of competition at release, and some of those games did include multiplayer, especially Call of Duty Black Ops, that took front and center. So the multiplayer for Bioshock 2 didn't necessarily have that hype pushing it and pretty much putting it to the forefront of that game. Now the next two I'm actually going to combine together into one section because they both pertain to each other. The second being the lack of support on the game, and the third being the actual lack of a good anti-cheat, both of which still plague the game today, more specifically the anti-cheat aspect. So I don't remember there being too many patches or updates or any sort of tweaks to the game originally going back to 2010. I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure there were some, maybe within the couple of first months of Bioshock 2's release, but after that it seems like multiplayer was just set on the back burner. There wasn't any updates, there wasn't any feedback from the community in terms of the community managers or anything like that, and it just seemed like nothing was getting fixed, nothing was being updated, etc. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong. And then the anti-cheat. Obviously, there's been a ton of cheaters in the past. There's a lot of cheaters on PC with games in general, and Bioshock 2's multiplayer was no exception, and there's still cheaters to this day, unfortunately, which is why I don't touch the game anymore. I commend the players that actually do play the game legit, so props to you. But the lack of an anti-cheat is a serious problem in games, and it was a serious problem in 2010, and it's still a serious problem in 2022. Now the final reason is one of the more heartbreaking ones, in my personal opinion, and it's a shame that it had to end up resorting to this. And that is that the community itself just had enough. Whether it was burnout from the game, whether it was frustration from the lack of support or cheaters that ruined the game, or if it was just other games that came out. But obviously, with the game, people are going to lose interest over time if you don't add anything new to the product. And with Bioshock 2's multiplayer, it remained stagnant. So I could see why players wanted to leave. They wanted to play new games, especially with all the games coming out in 2011, 2012, and moving forward. Also, going back to what I said a little bit ago, I can also understand the community's frustrations with the lack of support of the game, the lack of patches, the lack of updates, the lack of an anti-cheat, nothing being done about cheaters or anything of that sort, especially on the PC end. So I understand the frustration completely. This game had a ton of potential, and it still does have a ton of potential in the future if Bioshock 4 decides to add some sort of multiplayer feature. However, Cloud Chamber and 2K absolutely need to learn from their mistakes. They need to make sure if they release a multiplayer aspect with Bioshock 4, it needs to be supported, it needs to be updated, it needs to be monitored for cheaters, for hackers, anything of that sort. It needs to have an anti-cheat to catch those cheaters and hackers. And overall, it just needs to improve from what the bare bones of Bioshock 2's multiplayer implemented and what it introduced to the community as a whole. Let me know what you all think down in the comment section below. So ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else watching, thank you all for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. If there's anything you'd like to add in addition to what I mentioned in the video, please let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to read what you have to say down there. Also, thank you all for the recent amount of support on the videos and everything that I've done on the channel. I greatly appreciate it. If you're new here and want to see more Bioshock content in the future, would you kindly hit that subscribe button, like the video, and hit that bell and turn on all post notifications to never miss a future video, and I would very much appreciate that. One last thing before I go, thank you to JR for providing the Bioshock 2 multiplayer gameplay that you're watching in the background. Again, his channel link will be down in the description as well as in the pinned comments, so please go check him out. Give him some support. I would very much appreciate that. And with that being said, thank you all so very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I will talk to you all in the next video.